Hello everyone, and welcome back. In today's lesson, we are going to explore one of the most important ideas in economics, opportunity cost. We will also learn how economists use a simple model called the Production Possibilities Curve, or PPC, to show trade-offs, choice, and the limits of production. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to explain opportunity cost, identify efficient and inefficient production points, and understand what it means when a point is unattainable. Let's start with a simple example from daily life. Imagine you have 2 free hours this evening. You can use that time to study for an exam, work at a part-time job, rest, or spend time with friends. You probably cannot do all of those things fully in just 2 hours. So, when you choose one option, you give up another. Economics begins by noticing that every choice has a cost, even when no money changes hands. Why do we have to choose in the first place? The answer is scarcity. Our wants are large, but our time, money, labor, and resources are limited. Because resources are scarce, people, businesses, and governments must make choices. Once we understand that, the next step is to ask an important question. What do we give up when we choose one option over another? That leads us directly to opportunity cost. Opportunity cost is the value of the next best alternative that you give up when you make a choice. This idea is very important. Opportunity cost is not simply everything you give up. It is the best alternative you did not choose. If you decide to spend Saturday studying instead of working a shift, then the opportunity cost might be the income from the job. If you choose to attend college, the opportunity cost may include the earnings you could have made by working full-time instead. Let's make this more concrete. Suppose a student has enough money to buy either a textbook or a pair of headphones, but not both. If the student buys the textbook, then the opportunity cost is the headphones that were not purchased. If the student buys the headphones, the opportunity cost is the textbook. In economics, every decision involves a comparison between what we choose and what we give up. It is also important to remember that opportunity cost is not always measured in money. Sometimes the cost is time, convenience, or another opportunity. If you sleep in late, the opportunity cost might be the extra study time or the chance to go for a morning walk. If a business uses its workers to produce more shoes, the opportunity cost may be the number of bags or shirts it can no longer produce. Opportunity cost exists whenever resources are limited and alternatives exist. Now let's move from daily choices to a simple economic model. Economists often use models because the real world is complex. A model does not show every detail. Instead, it helps us focus on the most important relationships. One of the most useful models for understanding opportunity cost is the Production Possibilities Curve, or PPC, also called the Production Possibilities Frontier, or PPC for short. A PPC shows the maximum possible combinations of 2 goods or 2 categories of goods that can be produced with available resources and current technology. In other words, it shows the production limits of an economy, a business, or even a simplified example, such as a classroom activity. The key idea is that with limited resources, producing more of one thing usually means producing less of another. To use a PPC clearly, we usually make a few simple assumptions. First, we assume resources are limited. Second, we assume technology is fixed for the moment. Third, we usually simplify the situation by focusing on only 2 goods. These assumptions help us see the basic trade-offs clearly. The PPC is not meant to describe every detail of reality. It is meant to help us understand the logic of choice and production. Imagine an economy that can produce only 2 goods, agricultural products and manufactured goods. A point on the curve represents one possible combination of those two goods that the economy can produce when it uses its resources fully and efficiently. If the economy moves to a different point on the curve, it produces a different combination. But because resources are limited, gaining more of one good means giving up some of the other. This is where trade-offs become very clear. The PPC visually shows that every production decision has a trade-off. If a country wants more manufactured goods, it may need to shift workers, land, and equipment away from agricultural production. If it wants more agricultural output, it may need to reduce manufactured output. The curve helps us see that choice always involves giving something up. On the PPC, opportunity cost is the amount of one good that must be given up to gain more of the other good. For example, if moving from one point to another increases manufactured goods by 10 units but reduces agricultural goods by 4 units, then the opportunity cost of those additional manufactured goods is 4 units of agricultural goods. The curve helps us measure trade-offs more clearly than words alone. In many cases, the PPC is drawn bowed outward from the origin. Why? Because resources are not equally good at producing everything. Some workers, machines, or land are better suited to one activity than another. As more resources are shifted from one good to another, the economy often has to use resources that are less specialized for the new task. As a result, opportunity cost tends to increase. This is called increasing opportunity cost. Now let's talk about efficiency. A point on the PPC is considered efficient because it represents full and productive use of available resources. At an efficient point, the economy is getting the most output possible from what it has. This does not mean the outcome is perfect or fair in every social sense. It means resources are being used without waste in terms of production. A point inside the PPC is inefficient. It means the economy is producing less than it could. This can happen when resources are underused or misused. For example, unemployment, idle factories, weak coordination, or wasted materials can cause the economy to operate inside the curve. The economy has the ability to produce more, but for some reason, it is not reaching its full productive potential. A point outside the PPC is unattainable under current conditions. That point represents a combination of goods that cannot be produced with the available resources and existing technology. It may be desirable, but it is not currently possible. To reach such a point, the economy would need more resources, better technology, or some improvement in productivity. So let's summarize. Points on the curve are efficient. Points inside the curve are inefficient. Points outside the curve are unattainable for now. This is one of the reasons the PPC is such a powerful teaching tool. With one simple graph, we can talk about scarcity, trade-offs, opportunity, cost, efficiency, inefficiency, and production limits all at once. The PPC also reminds us that economics is not only about what is possible, it is also about choice. There are many efficient points on the curve, but a society, business, or individual still has to choose which point to prefer. One point may produce more consumer goods while another may produce more capital goods. One point may favor current enjoyment while another may favor future growth. Economics helps us think carefully about these alternatives. Although the PPC is often used for economies, the same logic can help us think about personal choices. Imagine your weekend time divided between studying and working. If you spend more hours studying, you have fewer hours for work. If you work more, you have less time to study. Your available time creates a kind of personal production possibilities trade-off. This analogy is not perfect, but it helps show how widely the idea can apply. A business also faces PPC-style choices. Suppose a factory can use its machinery to produce either more desks or more chairs. If it shifts toward producing more desks, it may have to produce fewer chairs. The opportunity cost of the additional desks is the chairs that are not made. If the factory is operating efficiently, its production choices lie on its own production possibilities boundary. Understanding inefficiency is especially important in real life. When an economy operates inside its PPC, it often means there is unemployment or wasted capacity. When a business operates inside its productive potential, it may mean idle machines, poor planning, or low worker productivity. Economists study these gaps because improving efficiency can increase output without needing brand new resources right away. Yes, the PPC can shift. Although today's lesson focuses on the basic curve, it is useful to know that the whole frontier can move outward when an economy gains more resources, improves education, adopts better technology, or becomes more productive. An outward shift means combinations that were once unattainable may become attainable in the future. This idea connects the PPC to growth and development. A common mistake is to think that a point inside the curve is better because it seems safer or less demanding. But in economic terms, a point inside the curve means resources are underused. Another common mistake is to think a point outside the curve is automatically better because it gives more output. In reality, it is desirable, but it is not feasible under current conditions. The PPC helps us separate what is efficient from what is merely imagined. At this point, we can connect everything. Scarcity forces choice. Choice creates trade-offs. The trade-off is measured by opportunity cost. The PPC is a model that helps us visualize those trade-offs. Points on the curve show efficient production. Points inside show inefficiency. Points outside show unattainable output under current conditions. When you understand these relationships, you understand a major foundation of economics. Let's quickly review the key terms. Opportunity cost is the next best alternative given up. A PPC shows the maximum possible combinations of two goods that can be produced with available resources and current technology. Points on the curve are efficient. Points inside are inefficient. Points outside are unattainable for now. And every movement along the curve reflects a trade-off and a choice. Before we finish, think about one decision in your own life today. What are your options? What is your next best alternative? And what is the opportunity cost of the choice you make? Economics becomes much more meaningful when we connect these ideas to real life. The purpose of this lesson is not just to understand a graph, it is to understand how economists think about choices under scarcity. Thank you for joining me in today's lesson on opportunity cost and basic PPC concepts. In this lesson, we learned how opportunity cost helps us think more clearly about choices, trade-offs, and the real cost of our decisions. We also explored how the production possibilities curve, or PPC, helps us understand efficiency, inefficiency, unattainable points, and the limits of production. Before we end today's video, stay with me for a short quiz challenge in the next section. This will help you review and test what you have learned from today's lesson. If you are ready, let's begin the quiz challenge. All right, here's question number 1. What is opportunity cost? A, the total amount of money spent on a decision. B, the value of the next best alternative given up. C, the price of all goods in the economy. D, the amount of profit a business earns. Here's a hint. Think about what you give up when you choose one option instead of another. The correct answer is B, the value of the next best alternative given up. Opportunity cost is the next best alternative you give up when making a choice. It is not always money. It can also be time, energy, or another opportunity. Question number 2. What does a production possibilities curve, or PPC, show? A. The maximum possible combinations of two goods that can be produced with available resources and current technology. B. The amount of money consumers spend each year. C. The exact price of goods in a market. D. The number of people living in an economy. Here's your hint. Think about how the PPC shows production limits and choices between two goods. The correct answer is A, the maximum possible combinations of two goods that can be produced with available resources and current technology. A PPC shows the different combinations of two goods that can be produced when resources and technology are limited. It helps us understand trade-offs and production choices. Question number 3. A point inside the PPC represents which situation? A. Efficient production. B. Unattainable production. C. Inefficient production. D. Unlimited production. Here's your hint. Think about whether resources are being fully used or underused. The correct answer is C, inefficient production. A point inside the PPC means the economy is not using all of its resources fully or productively. It may show unemployment, idle factories, wasted resources, or weak coordination. Moving on to fill in the blank questions. Question number 4. Opportunity cost is the next best alternative that is what when a choice is made? Here's your hint. Think about what happens to the option you do not choose. If you said given up, you are absolutely correct. Opportunity cost is what you give up when you choose one option over another. It helps us understand the real cost of a decision. Moving on to question number 5. A point on the PPC represents what production? Because resources are being fully and productively used. Here's your hint. This word means resources are not being wasted. If you said efficient, you are absolutely correct. Points on the PPC are efficient because the economy is using its available resources fully to produce the maximum possible output. All right, here's question number 6. A point outside the PPC is what? Under current resources and technology. Here's your hint. Think about a production point that the economy wants but cannot currently reach. If you said unattainable, you are absolutely correct. A point outside the PPC is unattainable because the economy does not currently have enough resources or technology to produce that combination of goods. Moving on to short answer questions. Question number 7. Explain opportunity cost in your own words and give one simple example. Try to choose a real-life decision, then explain the next best option that was given up. Here's a sample answer. Opportunity cost is the value of the best alternative we give up when we make a choice. For example, if I spend 2 hours studying instead of working, my opportunity cost may be the money I could have earned from working. Question number 8. What is the purpose of the production possibilities curve, or PPC? Here's your hint. Think about how the PPC helps economists show scarcity, limits, and choices in production. Here's a sample answer. The PPC is a model that shows the maximum possible combinations of two goods that can be produced with available resources and current technology. It helps explain scarcity, trade-offs, opportunity cost, efficiency, inefficiency, and unattainable production points. Moving on to the last question. Question number 9. Can you explain the difference between efficient, inefficient, and unattainable points on the PPC? Here's your hint. Think about where each point is located: on the curve, inside the curve, or outside the curve. Here's a sample answer. An efficient point is on the PPC and shows full use of resources. An inefficient point is inside the PPC and shows that resources are underused or wasted. An unattainable point is outside the PPC and cannot be reached with current resources and technology. Great job! You've made it to the end of today's lesson on opportunity cost and basic PPC concepts and completed the quiz challenge. Thank you for watching today's lesson. Until next time, take care.